how good is this week? I haven't been excited by a game of rugby like this for a long, long time. What do you think Rusty's going to do, Victor?
I think that aerial contest is going to be so important. So happy for our girls. And to see that emotion after that game, that's a big turnaround for women's rugby in South Africa.
How many Kiwi backs would make a rugby championship all-stars team?
I'd put Bowden.
You sure?
Well, you can't even decide who your first five is, mate. At least we can.
Right, welcome to Rivals. And when you're talking about rivalry, that's what this weekend's all about. The All Blacks versus South Africa at Eden Park, the fortress. So look at them. Look how excited they are.
Go, boys. Go to Boks.
I knew that was going to come out earlier. Like, it doesn't, honestly, look at that, mate. Did you hand make that?
Is it saying world champions? What's it saying?
Yeah, it probably says it four times like you do. It says world champions like you do 4 times every show, Victor.
I heard the New Zealand fans are very happy to have 4-time world champions there. The only country that's won it.
It's a real honour
for the first time ever.
Your favourites, mate. World champions,
for the first time ever.
You know? Your favourites.
Can you both calm down?
I can't calm down.
Sorry.
Ricardo, how good is this week? I haven't been excited by a game of rugby like this for a long, long time. It's amazing. It's so, there's so much at stake. It doesn't get much bigger than this, honestly. You know, World Cup, yeah, Victor, we were both over there, and, you know, those quarterfinal games were great. The final was great, but this is amazing. This is like history.
I'm with Sir John Kirwan on this one. I think the build-up has been for so long. Everyone's been waiting for this. I mean, this is a record the All Blacks are really proud of. And if there's one team that can maybe come do it, I still think the All Blacks are the favourite to defend their record. Then there's this team that's won everything, that's come through so many things to be successful. And again, after that Australian loss, they had to go a bit back, had a look at themselves, and let's hope we'll see the best of the Springbok version.
I think the interesting thing for me, Victor, is I don't think both teams are in their best form at the moment, which makes it even more intriguing. You know, you saw the performance against Argentina, and we saw your performance against Australia in the second test. You know, it was like a contrast, wasn't it? Like, we were pretty good in the first test, and then the second test, Argentina got up and beat us. And I don't think either teams are actually on form. So I still think you guys are slight favourites, and I know that you're scared of being favourites because you don't believe the team handles it. But like, for me, it is just like the lineups are exciting. What are we going to do selection-wise? What are you guys going to do selection-wise? You know, like, for me, it's just like one of those weeks where you go, bring it on. Just how quickly can we get to Saturday?
Yeah, I think the whole week's going to be great. The build-up, like you say, is New Zealand going to stick with exactly the same side that they played the last 3-4 games? The Springboks has played around to the team. They can make a few adjustments. They even brought a guy like Faf in from the outside all of a sudden. He can bring something different to a test match. I mean, he brings a lot of energy to any test match and to any team. Will they throw him in off the bench maybe to bring something different for us? So, yeah, it's going to be great. But like we say, I think we all love history. And there's so much history between the All Blacks and the Springboks. And the All Blacks are really proud of the record that they've got at Eden Park. And I've said it a few times on the show. I've gone to this venue where we were the favourites, beaten New Zealand 3 times in a row, going into it, having the Bulls and the Stormers playing in Super Rugby final, just thinking everything is going great. And then we walked ourselves into a very motivated New Zealand team. That I actually think that was probably the start of that run for them to win the 2 World Cups back-to-back as well. So, it's going to be massive. I can't wait to see what Rossi's plans are, what's Razor going to do. So, yeah, it's great. And I
What do,
think the respect that there is for both teams from both countries is just unbelievable as well.
what do you think Rusty's going to do, Victor?
It's interesting we need to see, we've got one or two injuries. So, Bongi's not there, he stayed behind. So we'll probably see Malcolm Marks there. At tight end, I wonder if he'll go with Thomas Atoy again, go for a long time, or will he start with Wilco low and then bring on Thomas a bit later? Or we might even have to move Thomas to the loose head as well. Second rows is going to be very interesting. I think Eben will be back in the starting lineup. It will be interesting if he goes for Lode Jager, who's the bigger, more experienced guy, or will he go for Ruan Orkia? I think Ruan Orkia, every time he had opportunity, was just outstanding. He's almost like a Franco Mostert. He's got this big engine on him. He can run for days. He's always there. Very high work rate. And at line-out time, I think he always comes up with a very good plan as well. So that's going to be an interesting selection. Luckily, Peter Steff and Sia's back in, so it will be interesting to see. Kwacha had a very good game at 8 starting, but we know his impact off the bench. I prefer him off the bench, but Jasper Wiese can still not go, so that will be interesting. And then 9-10, I can't see him not going with Andre Pollard at 10. I just can't see it. But he might still do it. Maybe he starts with Mani, starts with open game and then bring Andre on. I don't know, but I don't think so. I think we'll go with Andre. We'll be conservative. So in the back line, we'll probably see pretty much the same faces that we used to.
Isn't it interesting though, Victor, that he's got so many options, so many decisions to make? You know, most international coaches, really, there's like 15, 18 players that are going to likely start most test matches. But with South Africa, you know, that's both a strength and is it a weakness because it's hard to get those combinations and that cohesion going on.
Well, I think it's a great point. I think it's a great point, Ricardo. And for me, the interesting thing is we spoke about this a couple of episodes ago. New Zealand doesn't really do the experiments like Rusty's done, right? We stick with our players. But what happens is when you get in a situation like this, when you're coming off the loss to Argentina, it means that the guys haven't played. So, you know, what Victor's talking about is this internal competition, and most of those have played over the series, right? So it's like, well, which one are you going to pick? Whereas I think the dilemma for the All Blacks is, I won't say panic because I don't think it's panic. So do you stick with the same side or do you go, actually, I'm going to put, so here are some of the choices that I think Razor's got to make. Do I put you know, Rico back to centre? Right, put him back to centre. He's our best defending centre. And I think Proctor's going to be amazing, but I think it's South Africa, and I think he's still learning the trade at the next level. You know, and if you're going to do that, what do you do on the wing? Do you actually, you know, bring in someone like Nauriura, or do you give someone like Leroy Carter a go, who's incredibly fast? You know, so in the midfield, you put those two guys back together. I think Christie, we've got a lot of injuries at halfback, so I think Christie starts with Barrett, and then number 8. I don't think they'll back up with the young guy. I think they'll go back to Satiti, Vai, and Artie at 7. I think you've sort of got to go there. And then I think the locking combination will stay the same in the front row.
Do you think Vai is working on the blindside flanker? Won't it be better to move him back to second row?
Well, but for who? That's trouble.
Playing with Barrett.
Yeah, well, that's your option, right?
Year.
That's your options, but we haven't seen too much of the other guys at loose forward. So what do you do there, right? And so for me, you know, Holland has been a revelation, and I just think he was a bit overplayed. So he got a bit tired towards the end of the Argentinian test, but he's had a bit of time to refresh. So we need big bodies against you guys, right? You need big bodies, and that's where I think, and you would have played them, you know, Richarlic and Whitelock, that combination there, they were big men, right? So we had big men against big men, and I think that's important. So, Holland's a big body. He's going to move bodies. He's going to do stuff like that. So, but for me, the selection is not, who's playing best? It's, wow, am I going to take a risk in putting someone new out there and change some combinations? Or is he just going to go, actually, it was a one-off, so I'm just going to stick with the side that started? But if we don't sort our high ball kick out, our infield tactical kicking, the first thing that South Africa is going to do is going to go to that high ball, and we need to catch it, right? So,
yeah, it's actually Ricardo, is for me as well. I watched that Southlands versus Waikato game on Saturday morning. So I think New Zealand do have just as much talent as we do. It's just they don't get the opportunity to play. I think Rassie has started something here. He gives guys opportunity and he backs him to be the number one team. Doesn't matter who he puts out there. It can be 15 changes, but he backs him as number ones. And he doesn't rest, let's say, his first 15 players, all of it. He's just mixing and matching and giving everyone opportunities and telling them, listen, if you play, you're the number one Springbok. You're not a stand-in. And I think that gave a lot of guys confidence to play at this level. But yeah, watching that Southland game versus, there's so much. There was a 12 center from Southland that was just killing everyone. And I was thinking, wow, why haven't we seen him play in an All Black jersey yet? Understand? And I mean, that's just about the culture that Razor's got at the moment. We doesn't really give test caps away. Rassie decided, listen, I'm going to give guys opportunity. I'm going to let them be comfortable at this level and let them believe when they play, they're the number one choice. But I think the talent for us and New Zealand is there. It's just we've given a lot more players opportunity at this stage.
To give you an idea how long ago it is since the All Blacks lost at Eden Park, JK, you actually played in that game.
I knew you were going to bring that up, mate. I just knew you were going to bring that up. My last game for New Zealand was a 19-all draw against South Africa. So that we lost and drew. And so for me, France were in one of those unstoppable moods that day. It was incredible. They were really incredible. It was like chasing shadows at times. And we were, I think those years too, we hadn't settled on a football team, or Laurie hadn't settled on a football team, and he made a lot of changes in that year. So not dissimilar to what sort of Russie's doing. More guys were getting opportunities. Yeah, but it's been an amazing record, and that actually adds to the week because 1994.
Explain to me, as a player, how can a ground make a difference? Like you played a lot at Eden Park, JK. So how does it make a difference? Why are the All Blacks so good there?
You travel a lot, Ricardo. What's it like getting home to your own bed?
Yeah, I can sleep on the couch.
Most of the All Blacks are normally Crusaders, aren't they? Why are they so good there in Auckland?
Victor, you don't need to throw that parochial stuff in, mate. You don't need to wind me up this early in the piece. Come on, mate.
Give me an answer, JK.
Yeah, no, so I did actually answer in my own way, Ricardo. If you ever travelled and you've been away for a few weeks, you can't wait to get home to your own bed. And that's what Eden Park's like for the All Blacks. It's our home ground, and it's somewhere where we feel comfortable. It's our biggest stadium. We have the crowd behind us. You sit in the seat where you always did, and I think it's a positive motivation. Like when the All Blacks go to Wales, we always stop on the 7th Bridge, don't we, Ricardo? When you remember that, when you were All Black media manager, and we always stop halfway across the bridge and say, "You never lose here," right? They're traditions that are amazing to grow and amazing to have behind you. So it helps your motivation, it helps your week, and being comfortable in a ground, because the South Africans will be feeling that. They'll be feeling it'll add to the pressure of their week. Not only will they want to beat the All Blacks, but they'd love to. I mean, Victor would be smiling for a week. I probably won't turn up next week because it's, as a player, something you would have absolutely loved, right? You would have loved to take in that scalp. It's like going to Twickenham and winning. They're just things in the game that you just, as players, just give you that extra motivation and extra week.
So, Victor, tell me what's South Africa's game plan to beat the All Blacks at Eden Park?
Well, I think like JK said earlier, I don't think any of the two teams is as comfortable as they would want it to be going into this test match. I think that Australia loss has put us back a little bit. But again, I think this is all going to be about that mindset, about achieving something no one has achieved in South Africa for a very long time. And you get external motivation. And sometimes you need that. If you've been in a team that's been so successful, has won so many things, sometimes you just need that extra motivation. And I mean, this is it. This is definitely it. Now we need to make a plan. How are we going to do it? How will we beat New Zealand? Can we outplay them ball in hand? Maybe not. Maybe we can. Or are we going back to the old South Africa DNA, put them under pressure, back our forwards, great kicking game? I think that aerial contest is going to be so important. Are we going to? We will definitely go to that. And then from there, we'll open it up and let the guys go and try and play from turnover. So I think we'll probably see much the same as we've seen against Australia in that second test match.
And for you, JK, what's the All Blacks game plan to beat South Africa?
Oh, so the game plan that we had in the World Cup final and the game plan that we had for the two tests last year in South Africa, I thought was perfect, right? So obviously you've got to win your set pieces, and that's a given. But what we did last year is we had this incredibly fast game plan, and I think it was really working. What happened in the critical moments is we got a bit loose and we gave away some penalties, and South Africa came back with their DNA, kicked us to the corners. So for me, I reckon a high game plan. I think in the World Cup in the second half, we probably lost a little bit of nerve around throwing it around, especially when the bomb squad comes on. So for me, a really fast game plan, get them running early, get them going across the field. Our kicking game's incredible, but it should be a turning kicking game where it's on the ground in behind South Africa. The fullback guys have to come forward. We're rushing on to stuff, trying to create some fumbles, and we need to keep that intensity up. And then we need to have confidence in that in the second half and win the critical moments, right? You've got to win those critical moments because we know exactly what South Africa would do in the second half. And we can't let them settle down into that game. We've got to keep them off their game all for the 80 minutes. And so it makes for an exciting game, right? And just getting back to what Victor said, I think we will know, the players will already know, but the team will be named on Thursday. Who the South African number 10 is will be very much the sign on what sort of game they're going to play, right? And I'm with you. I think Poland will be selected, and that means they will play, hopefully, I believe, a combination of that South African DNA, but they'll play a little bit more rugby than normal, I believe.
Yeah, it will also depend who's on 15. I think if Willie LaRue is there, he always brings that attack out of Andre Pollard with his communication. I do like Fassi at 15. He's so good under the high ball. But again, I don't think South Africa will worry too much if New Zealand go that wide. I still haven't seen anyone play around our rush defence. I think what's more dangerous for us is if they get momentum with some big, and I mean, Audi is a great career. Satiti last year against us were unbelievable. If they start getting momentum with those forwards, and then it's almost like you say, turning kicking game, where it's kicks for the wings, kicking behind us, make us turn. I think that can put us under pressure. I still don't think New Zealand know exactly how to play ball in hand against this rush defence.
So this is a game that's going to happen, but the World Cup, the Women's World Cup's on at the moment, and there's been some amazing games. And South Africa winning today against Italy, which is a huge turnaround for South African women's rugby. And then obviously the Black Ferns, a strong win against Japan, but still some work required. But a tremendous performance by Portia.
Yeah, unbelievable. So she's the top New Zealand try scorer with 50 test tries. She's amazing. I love her. I thought a few years ago, she was the best wing across both male and female. I just love the way she plays. I watched the Japanese game, and I think, New Zealand started really poorly. They gave away about 4 or 5 penalties. Japanese scored first. There was a couple of technical things, like I think there was 7 or 8 penalties in the first 20 minutes, right? And I think when they were hitting the ruck, it looked like they were like closing it off a bit. But then once they got into their stride, and then in the second half, when you look at a Japanese side, they were very good, but they scored a lot of points. And I don't think as you get further down the tournament, they will be able to do the mistakes that they did against Japan. But it was a great win, great for Portia. I mean, it makes the next game an important one. They've got through, but it'll decide which side of the draw you play. So that's going to be really interesting.
Is it getting attention in South Africa, Victor?
Yeah, it's getting much more than a year or two ago. And I mean, if you saw the interviews after, how emotional the girls were, it's just unbelievable. That Libby Janssen van Rensburg, that was man of the match, she gyms with me as well. I mean, she's been so passionate about women's rugby for a long time. And to see them go out there, make the quarterfinals, it's unbelievable. I think that was their aim. But hopefully they can say to each other now, let's try and upset someone. Let's see if we can go one step further. Again, sways the brain, moving the team around a bit in the last few weeks. We had Ruiz, who played 15 at 10, and we had Levy at 12. And these two are our main playmakers. And this week he moved them back to their original positions with Levy at 10 and Ruiz at 15, where I think Ruiz do have more space, and we've seen her in the 7th game as well. She's very dangerous if she's into space. So happy for our girls, and I mean, to see that emotion after that game, how they went around the park, sang together, danced together, it's just unbelievable. I mean, that's a big turnaround for women's rugby in South Africa.
I mean, that's already a big upset, Victor. The Italians would be disappointed. They'll be disappointed with their tournament so far. I watched the Italian-French game, and there was some really good rugby in that as well. France won it. So Italy be disappointed, but that's a massive win from the rankings side of things, and it makes them incredibly dangerous. If they get some confidence, they've got nothing to lose. They probably had a great tournament. So, go through, and who cares? The pressure's off, and you can just really play footy.
It's been I think it's good tournament in terms of how many people have showed up at the games, the support that the teams. But there was a beautiful moment where, England are looking in pretty an ominous form at home, but and they ran over the top of Samoa, which was expected. But then Ramsey Tomakino, that we know, JK, speaking in the after-match press conference, he just broke down in tears. He was just saying that this is just such an incredible opportunity for his women that are playing for the Samoan team. They may have lost 1 billion to 3, I think. They scored their first points. But just for them to get the chance to get off the bus, to be cheered by the crowd, to play in front of all those people was just an amazing, amazing occasion. And sometimes you forget about those things in the World Cup.
It was like Portugal in the last World Cup, coached by Patrick Lagache. Like, how good were they? And so, especially when the female game is in growth, like these World Cups just expedite its growth. And you have young women in the crowds going, I can do that. It's also great for, you've got netball in your family, Victor. Your girls play netball. And so when they see a pathway, the cross talent that they can take from netball to rugby. I mean, a lot of the women's sports over here rugby's a real threat because you're on the world stage. You've got a World Cup, and if you're a sprinter or you're a netball player, then you can cross those, skills over. So it's amazing. And the English, I believe, are an incredible squad, right? And they're still hurting from the last World Cup. But the way the English public are actually supporting it is awesome as well. What the most important thing for me is how do we galvanize that? How do we galvanize that enthusiasm and create a new sector for our female game, new sponsors, new way they want to play, new stadium types and stuff like that. So I don't think we should look at the female game like we look at the male game. You know, I think the crowds are amazing. You know, I love seeing dads there with their daughters. So how do we galvanise that once again after this World Cup? Because I don't know if it was as galvanised as it should have been after the New Zealand World Cup. I think we went down a traditional path, whereas I think we need to look at the female game differently from a competition point of view, from a audience point of view, from an entertainment point of view. But the English have shown that, you know, if you get that product right, they'll turn up.
You know,
I think
what's
for
really
us,
cool is the humility that New Zealand has shown by not mentioning the fact that we won the last World Cup. You know, we didn't. It's not even something we've discussed in this show. It's not even something we're talking about at the moment. The fact that we won that World Cup, and we haven't even mentioned it. That's how humble we are as a nation. So, you know, well done, New Zealand. I've got some questions here. So we've had some
quickly,
interesting.
Ricardo, just maybe on that, I think this World Cup for us as well, South Africa, is so important. Just because we need women's rugby to grow on ground level, and to see our girls go out there, to see the crowds that's there. All of a sudden, girls were like JK saying, said, listen, we can play at this stage. This is an opportunity for us to do something special. So I think this World Cup is going to mean a lot to South African rugby. Women's rugby.
Oh, that's the World Cup that New Zealand won last time. Some questions from the audience, from the viewers. So the first question is from someone on Instagram called Nick Dances Tango, and he's wondering whether JK has the receipt for his glasses so he can get his money back. So just, have you got the receipt for those glasses? No?
What was that Tango guy's name? What was his first name?
Nick Dances Tango.
Nick, send me your address, mate. I'll get your send me a photo. I'll get your face sent to my people, and we can hook you up with a pair of glasses. And mate, you'll be like, people will be asking you to tango, brother.
Right, here's one from one of our YouTube followers. Talking about New Zealand, when did New Zealand go away from running rugby? What about this crazy box kicking game? It's taken over. Can we get back to running rugby, JK?
So the answer is no. The tactical kicking game is fundamental now. Like, you can't, with the defences, like Victor said, South Africa have a closing the gate defence. They'll stifle you. The line speeds are incredible. You know, when you're playing big men, they slow the ruck up, so the line speed's twice as fast. If you don't have a good kicking game, it's actually, you're not going to achieve much at all. So it's actually finding an attacking kicking game so you can get territory, so you can create pressure, right? So you can't just play this attacking game anymore. If we change some of the rules, that might happen, but that's not the case, right? So you've got to find this balance between making sure you're getting, you know, and often what you'll see with teams is they'll try for 3 rucks in their own half. South Africa's very good at this. They'll try for 3 rucks, and if they can't get over their advantage line, then they'll put a tactical kick in, because you're just bashing into a defensive line and risking in your own half turning the ball over. So I think it's what New Zealand needs to find is a fast game plan that has a combination of a great kicking game. And when I talk about an attacking kicking game, you know, it's what I call a kick pass. So your first 5's kicking it across to your wing. And what happens is you have to manipulate the defense. So early in the game, if you do a little chip kick in behind South Africa, ideally in the next time they want to rush off the line, they might think twice about it. You know, if you kick wide, then the winger who's been told to tuck beside his centre will then creep a bit wider because he doesn't want his opposition winger to catch that ball. Once he goes wide, then you should be attacking that space. So those tactical kicking games are all about how you attack. So the answer is, I see kicking as part of attack, right? But you can't just play this expansive game anymore.
I can't
if I can come in there, Ricardo, I think as well, I'm with JK. So attacking, kicking game is so important these days. And I don't know who asked the question, but what they also must look at is the attack that's coming after the box kicks. Whenever there's balls on the ground, those scraps, we always talk who's winning the scraps. Most of the time, the people that win those scraps with balls on the ground, that's where the attack comes from. And that's where you want, because it's broken field. There's no organized defense, and that's when you want your attack to kick in. So it's all about the right time. When you've got, like JK is saying, when you've got 1 or 2 slow ruck balls, these days defenses are just too good to attack from there. So it's almost set piece first phase, or then after 2-3, rather kick it, try get into that until you get broken field off a kick, and that's when you want to attack as well.
Okay, we've got a well-balanced audience. Champagne Rugby's asking, what is the favourite thing to throw on the braai, Victor?
Favorite thing to throw on the braai? So my favorite thing is probably a skilpaitjie. I don't know if you guys know what's a skilpaitjie.
The hell is
The
that?
skilpaitjie is liver and with fat around it, and it's just beautiful. So you can do it mostly as a starter. So you have a little skilpaitjie with a bit of pap, maize, and then after it you can have the chops and the steak and everything coming. But that skilpaitjie, I'll make you some when you come to South Africa, boys.
I love liver.
Yeah,
Thank
liver
you.
with net fit. I think it's net fit that they call it. So yeah, it's beautiful.
Right, now for you, JK, a question from Cameron2179 from YouTube. How many Kiwi backs would make a rugby championship all-stars team? Out of our backline, who would you put in that all-stars?
I'd put Bowden. I'd put
Will.
I'll say it a bit louder. I'd put Bowden.
You sure?
Well, you can't even decide who your first five is, mate. At least we can. You know, we've got Bowden. Will Jordan, I'd definitely put in.
You haven't said, will we see Will Jordan on the wing this weekend?
I think that's a great question, Victor. It's a great question. I think that's a possibility. I think that's a real possibility, you know. And I think if you think about the high balls and sorry to divert from your question for the viewer, Ricardo, but, you know, we have to have possibly 3 fullbacks playing because it's going to be a bombardment, right? So Will on the wing, yeah, that's a real possibility, I reckon.
What about you, Victor? What South Africans would be in the Rugby Championship best backline?
Backline.
Grant
Williams.
Stand behind you.
Andre Pollard. Dame Dalende.
He's just going to pick the whole backline. I just know, Victor. That's everyone.
Yeah, I'll give Will Jordan a go at 15.
Brilliant.
All right, now here's another question along the same lines.
This is why I love South Africans. This is why I love South Africans, eh? Like, I just love that you've mentioned 4 times that you're 4 times World Cup champions. And when you ask a South African for the best side, they're just going to name their team, right? Because if you didn't, also your mates aren't going to invite you to the braai and eat that liver stuff.
Yeah, I won't be invited.
Victor, the last question goes to you from Kenny Dowell. On a scale of 1 to absolutely not, how often do you actually understand what JK's talking about?
Yeah, maybe in the last 6 weeks, maybe once or twice we spoke some things at some stage. After Trevi gave him a little bit of info into the game, so there's some things sometimes.
Yeah. Obviously, Trimby's still waiting in the reception and I haven't let him in.
After last week. After last week,
mate.
He's cut.
Come on, mate. Bloody hell.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously we're all building up to the game. I think we should have a call after the game between the two of you just to see, because one of you is going to be really happy and one of them is going to be really sad. And so we'll see that. We'll post it up on our channel. It's a hell of a game.
It's putting extra pressure on this game. I don't like it.
You don't like it?
Just for that call. It's extra pressure on the game. It's like putting R1 million or something on the game. That call afterwards is going to be so bad.
So R1 million, that's like $20, eh?
It's like 20 US or New Zealand dollar.
Yeah. So from the moment this game came out on the schedule, everyone's been looking forward to it, and it's finally arrived. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a hell of a game, and it's going to be a hell of a phone call afterwards and a hell of a show next week. So looking forward to it. Thanks for your time. This is Rivals.
Thanks, Ricardo. And for the people out there, enjoy it. This is a great week.